This is Fieldsports Channel News. The Scottish Gamekeepers Association is planning protests before Scotland's 2021 election. In a response to the SNP government's attack on grouse moors, which it threatens to licence if it wins next year's elections, country people will campaign against the nationalist politicians who want to end their way of life. The SGA says it's received an unprecedented number of calls, messages and other communications since the SNP decided to move to an intermediate licensing of driven grouse moors. SGA Chairman Alex Hogg said rural communities would no longer be sacrificed because politicians want to right old wrongs that we had nothing to do with. The lockdown and a ban on game shooting may have been a blessing for game birds in more ways than one. A leading vet says deprived of shoot days, gamekeepers in the UK have spent more time with their pheasants and have been better at spotting diseases.
And certainly mycoplasma, we have seen a slight increase, although it's down on previous years. There has been a slight increase. Hopefully with the temperatures as they start to go back down towards the end of the year, mycoplasma tends to kind of hide itself away again.
The Prime Minister has been asked to give more people access to the countryside. About 100 celebrities, including Stephen Fry and Jarvis Cocker, have written to Boris Johnson asking him to extend the public's right to roam the countryside. The authors complain the public only has freedom to roam around 8% of the country. They want Johnson to extend rights to roam to woodlands, rivers and greenbelt land. At the last election, the Conservatives promised to criminalise some forms of trespass to restrict the movement of pesky sabs and antis. BBC presenter Chris Packham has been selling Christmas cards, with some of the proceeds going towards charity. He announced on Facebook at the weekend the charity would be Wild Justice, which is not a charity at all, but a lobby group. Saying money will go to charity when it is not violates advertising standards authority rules and could be considered fraud. After a couple of days, Packham corrected the mistake, which was pointed out in comments that he deleted. At the same time, shooting organisations have welcomed the release of court papers that suggest Wild Justice's judicial review on releasing game birds near designated sites would not have been successful if heard. Basque, Countryside Alliance, Game Farmers Association and the NGO worked together to ensure Wild Justice were unsuccessful in their request to have a stop notice placed on all game bird releases up to 5 kilometres from designated sites such as SPAs. The judge cast doubt on the validity of the case and criticised Wild Justice for trying to claim £35,000 in costs for the case it had instigated. The GWCT is slamming the RSPB for meddling with the Trust's data. The bird charity fails to point out that 2020 is England's most successful year for hen harrier fledglings in 2 decades, thanks to brood management and well-kept grouse moors. Results on RSPB land are miserable. Writing on the GWCT's blog, Director of Communications Andrew Gilruth accuses the bird charity of not standing by its neutral position on shooting, instead projecting its negativity to the public. He points to press releases regularly fed to the media with allegations of raptor persecution against gamekeepers. Gilruth says the RSPB uses the reports it generates itself to claim growing public concern that justified its review of game shooting. The fallout from the leaked hunt video webinar has meant that 3 major landowners have banned trail hunting on their grounds. Antis put out a story that a webinar held by hunting bodies to show how to dodge violent saboteurs was somehow proof that trail hunting is illegal. Unfortunately, instead of making the videos available, trail hunting's ruling body, the Hunting Office, ordered the Antis version of the videos taken down for copyright reasons. That gave the Antis enough proof to sell the story to TV News, and journalists didn't have to bother to watch the videos. They could just take the Antis' word for it. Now Forestry England, the National Trust and United Utilities have suspended trail hunting on their land. Metropolitan Police are refusing to give a gamekeeper's dog back after it was stolen and then recovered. John Gaunt spotted his Springer Spaniel Tilly in police photos after she was seized along with another 48 dogs in a raid on a traveller site in South London a month and a half ago. Officers said Tilly's chip was removed by the thieves, so now the dog's DNA is being compared with the sample John got from the breeder. He complains that nothing has happened since. He told The Times that he knows it's his dog from the markings. More dogs are going missing. Viewer Bob Crowther reports thieves broke into his kennels in Richmond, North Yorkshire, and stole both of his Springer Spaniel bitches, shown here. If you see them, please email bobcrowther3444@gmail.com. Meanwhile, experts are warning of a spike in abandoned pets after lockdown ends. A study found 2 million young Brits bought pets while they were stuck at home. One of the reasons pet prices have soared, leading to more thefts. The Pet Food Manufacturers Association says the surge is being driven by lonely millennials. Farmers may be in fear of the future, but shooters have given a cautious welcome to the government's new plans for the countryside. The end to food subsidies over the next few years scares the NFU, and farmers point out that the government has not said what it wants from land in England, only what it doesn't want. However, DEFRA's 7-year plan, called the Path to Sustainable Farming, could provide the kind of game habitat that will only be good news for game shooters and stalkers. Meanwhile, NFU projections see livestock farmers losing 60% to 80% of their income over the next 3 years. The Swedish government must vote no to the EU's lead shot ban. That's according to a Swedish parliamentary committee appointed by the government to approve new laws that come out of Europe. Last week, the European government pushed through a ban on lead shot over wetlands, leaving pro-shooting groups in Brussels and Strasbourg aghast. Shooters in Northern Europe, especially Scandinavia, point out that most rural land is wetland by the EU's definition. The European Parliament voted for the measure, allowing the European Commission to introduce the new regulations by the end of 2020. If the Commission meets this deadline, the UK may be forced to adopt the ban by the end of 2022, which will affect shooting over peatland. Authorities in parts of Pakistan are regulating hunting with falcons. Sindh province will charge falconry parties, mostly from Arab countries, $100,000 to hunt 100 houbara bustards over 10 days. Every winter, thousands of desert birds migrate from Central Asia to Sindh's warm deserts in the Sindh province. A new law means representatives from foreign countries need to apply for the permits. In 2015, the Supreme Court banned hunting the houbara bustard, but the ban was lifted the following year because it affected relations with Gulf countries. And finally, a celebrity stag on the Isle of Mull is accidentally in the Christmas spirit. Festive Bob has been walking around with Christmas lights in his antlers. He's been hanging around the local hospital for about a month, according to the Scotsman newspaper. After hospital staff finished decorating a Christmas tree for patients, Bob decided to headbutt it and got his antlers tangled in lighting. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stuck in the stories, fishing for facts.